Hello, Degens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I, of course, am the Brofict one, AJ, here with an interesting news update. Obviously, a lot going on in the Live Golf and Golf world this weekend with the Rocket Mortgage Classic and the Live event in Bedminster, New Jersey. But before all of that got started, yesterday, Wednesday, July 20, I'm sorry, excuse me, yes, Wednesday, July 27th, Greg Norman actually sat down with the New York Post. Writer Mark Canonzaro, sorry, butchering your name. Thank you so much for writing this article, and ask a lot of the deep questions. A lot of the questions that we didn't really think we were going to get answers to, and we didn't really get answers. He really kind of walked around a lot of stuff and gave the best CEO type answers that he could give. And honestly, I don't know what anyone else was really expecting when he was going to start answering these questions, but it is what we got, and I'm here to break it all down. I've read it, I've dissected it, and let's get into the action. First question's big one. How do you feel about how Live has come and what's been happening and everything? And he goes on to say it's perfect. The product is what it is. We knew what we had, how great it was, and that this is what the fans wanted. They wanted something different, and they wanted all of this. He was in the 6 rounds, he's heard nothing but good things, and it's going to get better and better. He's very confident in his product, and as he should be probably with, we don't see the numbers for attendance and everything, but if those numbers are doing good, I mean, YouTube and everything is only a matter of time before it'll get there, or watching it off of their site. He is excited about the New York market, especially because the PGA doesn't go to New York, Boston, or New Jersey. I don't understand why they would alienate that part of the country. That does seem kind of like the country club, yacht club type shit that they would like. So I don't know what the PGA is doing there, but Greg Norman essentially saying that that is one of the main reasons why they're there. They wanted to secure that market where all that money is, and I can't blame them. That's a great business move. PGA, I don't understand what you're doing. I don't understand why you guys aren't in those markets. I mean, there's got to be 1,000 golf courses on that side. I bet you can find one good enough for one of these classics or something like that. Talking about the atmosphere when it comes to playing at Trump's Bedminster, obviously another polarizing figure there. Controversies out the wazoo about everything. We won't get into anything about that because we're a sports show. He does go on to mention, though, to talk about it, that he was nervous about Portland because of a lot of the white noise and a lot of the things that were being said, especially by one of the senators in Oregon. It doesn't matter, though. He said that was all white noise. It ended up being fine. This one's actually getting a little louder. If you've turned on the news whatsoever, I mean, you can see the protests and everything like that, and it looks like those will continue throughout the weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how Live Golf can handle that and what they end up doing there. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. It's just going to be one of those things we're going to have to keep covering and see what happens this weekend. Not surprised that so many of their top names, these top names, have joined. The DJs, Kepkas and Chambos, Mickelsons. He knew they were going to join, especially because of the money, and he gets it. He gets it. And then we get into the deep stuff. The question being, what is your reaction to criticism about the money from Saudi Arabia, which has such poor human rights records and policies? The big quote from here, he says, "We are not a political organization. We are here to play golf, serve fans, grow the game, and give additional opportunities to players. I also have seen firsthand and the good that golf can do around the world, and Saudi Arabia is no different." Goes on when talking about the 9/11 family victims, saying he offers his deepest sympathy to the families. His heart goes out to anyone affected by the tragedy. While some may not agree, I continue to believe that golf is a force of good around the world, and that includes Saudi Arabia. He isn't the first businessman who has made ventures over to Saudi. Let's keep that in mind. WWE, Vince McMahon, famously doing that a couple years ago. I want to say about 5 years ago. They have quarterly shows over there. They took a break because of COVID, and they're getting paid, a couple $1 billion in order to put on those shows there. And they still go. They still happen. And yeah, it's always a thing of controversy, but it is something that they have accepted and what they have decided to do. A lot of it just goes into a lot more of the nitty-gritty stuff of it. He does go on to say that he is still willing to work with the PGA. He wants to be accepted by him. He doesn't understand why we can't have a relationship and let these golfers go back and forth. It's interesting. It's always interesting, especially if they can just be a league and another paycheck for them, and they can still go play on the tour for all of the glory and the history that is the tour. However, the PGA is not going to want to do that because they see him as direct competition, which they are. They're going in the different same season. But with that being said, the Senior Tour, the LPGA, and the Asian Tour, all of those are competition as well. This is the first competition that comes in with the cash to back it up. And that's why the PGA is shitting their pants right now, and I can't blame them. He does say that, now they're taking him seriously. And then he goes on to talk about in 94 when he's tried to start his last World Tour, citing the FTC lobbying that happened with the PGA while they were under investigation at the time. But Finchman, who was a former presidential lobbyer for a presidential candidate, he went there, he lobbied, and got everything shut down. And he is aware that the PGA is doing that now, aware that they're under fire and they'll always be under fire. And he comes out to say essentially like, it's coming back at you, man. It ain't a block, it's a slice. It's coming back at you harder, and you better have your shit together. Big words. Obviously, Greg Norman being in this situation before does not like being in it again. It is interesting that the PGA is still trying to go that route. It worked once. Why can't it work again? And we'll see what happens. The difference, I believe, is a couple $100 billion, if we're going to be real. Talks about Mickelson just taking the beating of a lifetime. I mean, it's his fault. Phil Mickelson put him in that situation. Greg Norman knows it. Everyone knows it. Phil Mickelson puts his foot in his mouth more than anyone I can remember recent memory. I don't know what they're going to do about Phil and everything, saying the relationship is good now. One of the big questions that was interesting was a comment he made about, the big names. They asked a question regarding, what is this? Like, wouldn't it be great if, one of these big guys you're paying a shit ton of money to can win one? And, and you'd be like, yeah. He said, yeah, absolutely. Obviously, that's the goal. It would be great press, great pub, blah, 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 blah. But that's the thing, though. They're a washed-up league at this point. They have a bunch of guys who haven't won anything in the last couple years. Don't get me wrong, their resumes are incredible, but those guys you're paying big money to, they're past their prime. They're past their prime. DJ is the best one out there that came from the PGA at this point. Everyone else in there, no disrespect to the LIV golfers, they are at some point no names, to the point where they may have played on the tour and stuff, but they were missing the cut, barely making the cut, never in featured groups, and the PGA still has that hand up. I mean, watching the Open a couple weeks ago, watching the 3M last weekend even, it was better golf than what I've seen on the LIV Tour. I'm hoping that, it would be nice to have some competition for the PGA to learn to adapt and overcome, and maybe some better stuff to come out of the PGA for the players and everyone involved. It's a rough situation, but yeah, shout out again to the New York Post. Please go give that article a read. It's a really good read, and it goes much more in depth than I did. Shout out again, Mark Canonzaro, for writing the article. Solid work. Thank you so much. But yeah, that's Greg Norman. It's interesting. He finally decided to sit down and have this conversation. I guess had to get out in front of it eventually, especially with all the pub right now and about the protest and all the new changes and everything that LIV Golf is going to go through. It'll be interesting to see if they can what they'll do this weekend and how they'll survive. But of course, I'll be here to cover all of that. And if you like that content, please like, share, and subscribe down below. Help us fight that YouTube algorithm. And if you like the show, support us. Show you're a DGen. Buy our merch. That link will be in the description, as well as our Twitters, at DGen Takes for the show, at Brofict1 for myself. And follow my buddy Noah at Engel Money Train for his best bets of the day. He's unbelievable. But with that being said, for all your LIV action, you know where to come, right here at Degenerate Takes. I've been the Brofict1 AJ. We'll see you next time.